And then she said, might as well not.
Well, you have symptoms. You have fever and
No. You could just be a carrier for 14 days.
Yeah,
And not know.
you could be.
Okay, yeah.
If you were to get it, if you had it and you were to get it, you'd get it within 14 days.
Yeah,
But you could be a carrier for 14 days
Yeah.
yeah,
and, inadvertently infect somebody else.
yeah. I got an email from one of the students saying, I think we should cancel the classes and just do it online. And I think some of the people may not come because of that, so we'll see.
So my husband told me, don't go. So no, I don't go. But I did wipe down everything because I don't know who sat on this desk.
Sure,
What,
yeah.
So that's how I.
It's a little overblown, I think, whatever.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't think we've seen the end of it.
No, we haven't. No, it's going to get worse before it gets, So Sridhar, the temple is doing well?
We are, doing fine.
So just as you had expected that over time, then
More
donations
people are
will
coming.
start to come in.
Yeah, new people are coming, people from the local area are coming. There's a lot of construction going on in the new homes in the Fremont, Middle Peters area, especially around Tesla. So,
South Fremont area.
South Fremont area, yeah.
So they are all visiting the temple because it's close by.
Yeah,
And
it's good for you.
More people are coming that at least I don't know. So
yeah,
we think that they are coming from here.
okay, good. And your priest, when he's needed for some personal things, then what does he do? Does he accept them, or does he, because he has to be at the temple, he
So
cannot?
we have two priests.
Okay,
Yeah, so, but usually one is out and one is there. Usually.
okay.
So,
So Shastri T is not there anymore?
The older Shastri passed away. His younger son is there. I mean, his son is there.
Swami Joshi, his son is there. And then Pradeep Madhyastha, he's also there. Pradeep Shastri. So, so I think two is required. We are thinking about at the right time to get one more.
How about Somayaji?
So Somayaji left the temple maybe 2 years ago, maybe a year and a
Oh,
half ago.
really? That long?
Yeah. So he comes, but he is independent, doing his own services.
I see.
Not sure I've met him.
I've had him at many weddings and such.
He travels quite a bit.
Yeah.
He goes to Hawaii often for weddings.
Weddings.
Sure.
He goes on Friday, comes back on Sunday. Wedding on Saturday.
What about Antyeshti? Do some of the priests do that, or?
Yeah. So Kumar Swami, actually both of the priests do that. They both don't have parents. And before, like, the priests know each other who does that function. So if they are not available, they recommend. There's only like 3 or 4 people who do in this area.
I know.
Yeah.
I know exactly.
It's not easy to get.
It's not easy.
So,
Just curious, why is that? It's meaning a priest should be able to do everything, right? So
Yeah, I'm not sure
they
that
choose
I-
that?
so the tradition is that if you are a priest and you have parents, you don't do that. If you don't have parents, you can do that.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay, I didn't know that.
So usually the priests who do these functions are older priests. But the ones who come from India to the United States are usually younger.
Oh.
I mean, in the beginning.
Right. Oh. That's what it is.
Nice Rudram chanting on Shivratri. I watched you do that for half an hour.
Watched it how?
He was chanting in the evening about 9 o'clock or something, 8:30, something like that.
No, but how did you watch it?
I was there.
Oh, you were there.
Yeah, I and Sashi went together.
Okay, because I left around, I don't know, 8:30, I think.
Oh, okay. They were probably just came.
Yeah. Yeah, I was still not quite well, so I decided not to really that.
I saw Jyoti, but I didn't see you.
Yeah, Jyoti was there, few other people.
You are fully recovered now? Mostly recovered?
Pretty much, 90%. The main thing is that my pneumonia is cleared, because I had pneumonia. So the x-ray showed it, and then,
No fluid.
yeah. So then the doctor had said, don't come back for another 4 weeks. And so by that time you were not sure whether your symptoms are still related to it. But after 4 weeks when I went, it was okay. So I still have some symptoms, but my voice is not, I have to clear. But now I don't think there's any underlying problems. It's just this was a long one.
What about Jugal and Vimla? They are back. And
They're back, and Jugal is still having quite a few neurological issues with the brain, and he had a stroke, and there's some lingering effects of that. He has a hard time finding balance, so he was hospitalized for a while, and then he's back home attending classes, and so he's being monitored. He's got some specialized people who are.
Do they have children? No.
They don't have any
They
children.
don't have any children. That's what I thought.
So you're back?
Yeah.
Yes,
Wow,
thank you.
nice. Wonderful.
Everyone.
So good.
Carry on.
You went again?
Huh?
You went to Africa, right? You went to Africa?
Yeah. Then we went to India.
Oh,
Yeah, they were in Rajkot with Zarina.
Zarina, yes.
so nice. Very nice.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, shall we start? Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Gukarastvandakaro Vai Rukarastvannivartakaha Andhakar Nirodhitva Gururitya Vidhiyate Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So let us chant verses number 35 to 42. Quite a few, hopefully we'll cover. I want to speed up a little bit. So Advaita Prakaranam, Karika number 35, Liyate hi sushupte tat. Liyate hi sushupte tat. Liyate hi sushupte tat. Nigrahitam na liyate. Tadeva nirbhayam brahma. ज्ञानालोकं समन्ततः
ज्ञानालोकं समन्ततः
अजम् अनिद्रमस्वप्नम्
अजम् अनिद्रमस्वप्नम्
अनामकम् अरूपकम्
अनामकम् अरूपकम्
सकृद्भातं सर्वज्ञम्
सकृत्पादं सर्वज्ञम्
नोपचारः कथञ्चन
नोपचारः कथञ्चन
सर्वाभिलापविगतः सर्वचिन्तासमुत्थितः
सर्वचिन्तासमुत्थितः
सुप्रशान्तः सकृज्योतिः
सुप्रशान्तः सकृज्योतिः
समाधिरचलो भयः
समाधिरचलो भयः
ग्रहो न तत्र नोत्सर्गः
ग्रहो न तत्र नोत्सर्गः
चिन्ता यत्र न विद्यते
चिन्ता यत्र न विद्यते
आत्मसंस्थं तदा ज्ञानम्
आत्मसंस्थं तदा ज्ञानम्
अजाति समतां गतम्
अजाति समतां गतम्
अस्पर्शयो योगो वै नाम
अस्पर्शयो योगो वै नाम
दुर्दर्शः सर्वयोगिभिः
दुर्दर्शः सर्वयोगिभिः
योगिनो बिभ्यति ह्यस्मात्
योगिनो बिभ्यति यस्मात्
अभये भयदर्शिनः
अभये भयदर्शिनः
मनसो निग्रहाय तम्
मनसो निग्रहाय
अभयं सर्वयोगिनाम्
अभयं सर्वयोगिनां
दुःखक्षयप्रबोधश्च
दुःखक्षय प्रबोधश्च
अप्यक्षया शान्तिरेव च
अव्यक्षया शान्तिरेव च
उत्सेक उद्धेर्यत्वत् उद्धेर्यत्वत् कुशाग्रेणैकबिन्दुना
कुशाग्रेणैकबिन्दुना
मनसो निग्रहस्तद्वत्
मनसो निग्रहस्तद्वत्
भवेत् अपरिखेदतः
भवेदपरिखेदतः
उपायेन निगृहीयात्
उपायेन निगृहीयात्
उपायेन निगृहीयात् विक्षिप्तं कामभोगयोः
विक्षिप्तं कामभोगयोः
सुप्रसन्नं लये चैव
सुप्रसन्नं लये चैव
यथा कामो लयस्तथा.
यथा कामो लयस्तथा.
Okay. I think we had pretty much covered up to 35, so I won't touch that last time. We'll start a little bit more explanation of this one word that we had not fully done on verse number 36. We had pretty much done verse 36, but this one word is interesting. Sakrit vibhatam sarvagyam. Sakrit vibhatam sarvagyam. And this is tied to the last two words of the verse 35. Jnana alokam samantataha. Jnana alokam, which means the light of consciousness. Samantataha means everywhere. The light of consciousness everywhere. So jnana alokam samantataha. Then it is further qualified and modified by this word sakrit vibhatam sarvagyam. So this needs to be understood. So what is said is that if you look at the the experience of the sun during our lifetime, what you find is that it has a lot of appearances and disappearances. At the night time, it is totally absent, and then during the day, it can be either fully resplendent or it can be just like today, very cloudy, not visible directly, but it has some semblance of light. Some feeling of light is there. Not only feeling, some light is there. This is an important thing that we saw before, that when you say, I don't know my Atma, we are studying, we are doing all this and so on. Why are you studying? Because I'm told that we should know our Atma. So that means from this conduct that it is very clear that I don't know my Atma. That's my firm conclusion. I'm confused about it. I'm still learning. I don't know. This is the thing. The question is, who is saying I don't know? A person who knows that I don't know. This is what we have to really look into. So this is very much like when you say there is no sun today because it is very cloudy. How do you know that? You know that by the light of the sun. A beautiful analogy. Just an absolutely amazing analogy. That the light of the sun tells you that I am not visible to you. Exactly the same situation is what in our life also. What we have to really think about. That when I say I don't know, I couldn't if I am not there. When I say I don't know means that I'm not sure that the kind of Atma that you describe, which is never changing, we did all of that, where it is sarvagataha, ajaha, never born, not possible to die, immortal. This is the Atma that I don't know. This is what we say, we don't know this Atma. But all the time when you are saying I don't know the Atma, you know that you don't know. It's the same. So the analogy of the sun is a very beautiful one. That really speaking, you have various phases of the sun. But that is, as Swami Dayananda used to say, that this was one of his very famous, very favorite way of saying that. He says, there are two things. One is called a point of view. Point of view means from my point of view, when you say something, from my point of view. But then there is another thing called the view. One is a relative point of view, the other one is the absolute view. So the sun is the absolute view. And the point of view is that today the sun is not there. It's kind of a dreary day. All these kinds of exclamations, dreary day, not there, rainy, and cold, and where is the sun going to come? All of those things are point of views. So similarly, all the time when the sun is not there, the sun is there. It's not possible that in fact, from the standpoint of the sun, and the sun is the one that is actually creating the clouds. It is creating the earth. And through the movement of the earth, it hides itself. So all those are points of views. So this is the meaning of what calls Sakrit Vibhaktam. Sakrit Vibhatam means that the Atma also, from your own standpoint, it is because we are so used to looking at myself as a point of view. I am not well, I've got problems, this, that, or the other. But I have to see who is. And this is always the case, where something or the other is always wrong with me, something or the other. It's almost like sometimes there is a sunny day, sometimes it's a cloudy day, all of those kinds of things. But if you transfer the point of view to the view itself, Anandji used to say this over and over again, that you will find is that really speaking, it is Jnana Alokam Samantata. It's just a slight change in the vision. And then you find that you are always there, never not there. And Swami Maheswaranji, he said, sometimes I ask this question, Swamiji, how will I know that I have the knowledge? Swamiji says that clearly means that you don't know. You don't know. And you are just confused about yourself. You should know that you are always there. You should know this. And when you find out that you know this, that I am always there, then this question doesn't arise. You yourself will know. And so as long as the question is there, you are confused. And this confusion is a very interesting creation by Ishvara, that something which is there is not taken to be there. So anyway, that is the meaning of this word, Sakrit Vibhatam. So then, for a couple of verses, the nature of Atma is further explained. Then in verse number, I believe 39, so this is what is called sadhya. Sadhya means what is our goal? What is it that we are looking to achieve? This is called sadhya. And then as usually the discussion goes between sadhya and sadhana. Sadhana means how is it that I am not able to see it? So we will enter into that discussion very soon and probably continue on with it for the rest of the chapter. But for now, verse 37, Sarva Abhilapa Vigataha Sarva Chinta Samuthitaha Suprashantaha Sakrit Jyotihi Samadhi Achalo Abhayaha is still talking about sadhya, about the Atma. So it says that when you achieve this understanding, you will see yourself the following way. So I think one thing that I've mentioned in the last 3 or 4 classes which should be kept in mind is that the teaching of Vedanta can either be taken as something which is, as soon the teaching takes place, you see it right away. Either that can happen. Or you should take it as, have I now felt that way yet? And if not, then these are markers on the way. So this is what we saw, that in the word sankalpa and many other things. And in fact, I think as we just go along, you will see. So the transformation from being ignorant to become knowledgeable there is a certain process, even though it should not have a process, because you should wake up right away. But if we don't, then there is a kind of a way, and you should see how it goes. So we are going to be discussing more and more. This is what the advanced books tell us, that you may not feel that way right now, but you should know this is exactly what you're going to encounter as you go forward. So, and it's a process which slowly but surely takes place. And I'll give you an example. So one example is, not from these verses, but just a general example to make this point, is that there are two entities, two powers that Ishvara has given you. Many powers, but one of them is your mind, mana. Another one is your wisdom, buddhi. And they are often mixed up together. What is thinking, what is wisdom, we are not quite sure of. But more and more, you should separate them. And so what will happen is that your mind, and Swami Tattvavidananda said it the best, I think, that the mind is like a child that is unreasonable, doesn't know any better. It says, I think we should just do this way. And buddhi is the adult mind. So one of the things that happens in terms of the markers, I'm just telling you how your life progresses and so on, is that your mind is like a spoiled child. Spoiled child. Having tantrums. No, I think we've got to do this. We need to have ice cream. And, and we need to have some desserts. I've got to do this. We have to see this movie. All those kinds of things come up. Then what you need to do, and what will happen as you progress, is that you will not just follow it. Your buddhi will say no. Once in a while you can say okay, but generally you should say no. I'm going to do what I want to do, and you just be quiet. Instead, the parents themselves go along with the spoiled child, and the whole thing is just... So I think as a marker, I'm just giving you that as a fact, that as a marker, what you will find is that as your study becomes deeper, your mind becomes less of a problem to you. It looks for you for guidance. What should I do? And you don't really have as much of a problem in fighting with it. So that means that, this is just one of the markers. Another marker is that you begin to appreciate that you are the ultimate source of joy. And the way it would happen is that in the beginning, for an ajnani, for an ignorant person, you are sure that you are completely dependent on something other than you to give you joy. Then with the study of Vedanta, with the study of Shastra, Shastra says, please, 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 this is not true. It is not true. what happens is that your joy is less blocked by your mind. That's all that happens. Your own joy expresses itself when it is not blocked. It is kind of like, going back to the sun analogy, it is very much like saying, this is a strange thing really, that the sun is confused about itself. Supposing this is exactly the situation. Because the sun, supposing it has some jnanam, some awareness, and it has the possibility of being confused. Because whenever you have jnanam, there's also ajnanam. This is how the creation is done. And so if the sun was confused that today I am not seeing myself clearly, because you see it through the clouds. This is how the situation is. So anyway, going back to the markers of joy, along with the fact that your mind is now a little bit more amenable to you, and you have to work at it. It's kind of like a spoiled child that has to be disciplined over and over. Not only disciplined, but to be reasoned with. Swami Mahesanji gave another beautiful example. He says, when you are, we can all relate to this, and that is that if you're going on a journey, like in a car, and it's a long ways, you're going to, 200 miles, and the child doesn't know how far it is and where you are. So it gets very antsy. How, we've been sitting in the car for long, when are we going to get there? But if you know how long it is more to go, then it doesn't bother you as much. Doesn't bother you as much. Because you are now much more, kind of like my own personal situation. Just about a week or so ago, I didn't know whether my pneumonia had gone or not. So every time I would have some cough and phlegm and all those kinds of things and so on, I would say my pneumonia might still be there, which means I have to take another set of antibiotics and all those kinds of problems and so on. So my estimation of what my health was very uncertain. I didn't know. And once the X-ray took place and the doctor said, you're clear. My symptoms are still there, but I'm not worried about them anymore. Exactly the same situation. So the jnani, one of the markers of the jnani is that the joy that you get will slowly begin to see, my God, this is my own joy. It is not completely coming from, and it will fight you for a while. It will fight you for a while. And this is another thing that we should know. We are talking about this in the Gita class. The experience between, the difference between experience and knowledge. That was one of the questions, if you recall, that what is the difference between experience and knowledge? So, the experience can be with knowledge or without knowledge. And the experience with knowledge can remain the same. Like in the case of the sun rising. Once you know that really the sun doesn't rise, do you still enjoy the sun rising, even though you know that it doesn't rise? So similarly, for a jnani may still enjoy ice cream. It's not as though, he dislikes ice cream. No. But as before, the thinking was that my joy is only by eating ice cream. Otherwise, I'm unhappy. First of all, you don't crave for an ice cream. And even if you were to, if somebody, that happens, even now, there's some birthday party and say, will you please have ice cream? And I cannot have much sugar, but I said, you know what, it's nice. You cannot just say no. It's somebody's birthday and they're all giving you cake, and so you have to enjoy it. But as you are enjoying it, you begin to see, my goodness, because the joy, the locus of joy is not out, it's not in the ice cream, it is in you. The joy is always internal, it's pratyak swarupa. And so you begin to see the very process. So just like the control of the mind, the analysis of the joy in your life also becomes thoughtful, analytical. My God, what a wonderful, interesting thing. And then slowly these markers grow to the point where you are happy with who you are without any changes. And so, in fact, now we can actually rejoin the main points, and I want to go this. If I go to number 37, he says, Sarva abhilapa vigataha, sarva chinta samuthitaha, suprashantaha sakrit jyotihi samadhihi achalaha abhayaha. So here, if you just look at these words, Sarva abhilapa vigataha. So abhilapa means talking. So abhilapa means to be talking is called abhilapa. And so what you find is that the nature of the Atma is, so here look at this. For an ajnani, if you ask to describe the elements of who you are as a jiva, the jiva ajnani jiva, then the jiva will say, I am one that talks. I am the one who worries, who has anxieties. Chinta. So here both the karma-indriya and jnana-indriya are being mentioned. So abhilapa means talking, means that it is Atma has nothing to do with talking. Doesn't mean just by talking, but means that all karma-indriyas, it has nothing to do with it. It can have it, it may not have it, it is independent. Similarly, chinta samuthitaha means that anxiety is the quality of the mind, not of the Atma. Anxiety is exactly like a child. Oh, I don't know what is going to happen. This coronavirus is a very good example. Beautiful example. I mean, every internet you go to, every TV you go to, every discussion that you go to, every worry that you have is coronavirus, 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 and so on. And the wisdom is, take all precautions. Of course, definitely do that. But if it happens, it happens. If it happens, and supposing you die, do you know what it is? Let me be very frank with you. It is Ishvara's gift to you that I have a better situation for you. From this life, you are stuck with families, problems, and I know you want to get out of it, but you can't. You don't have the courage. But I will release you. You will now get into it. This is a gift. I should not really reject it if it happens. I should see Ishvara. If I catch it and I die, I should just remember Ishvara and say, thank you so much. It actually did happen to me when I went to, when I had my bypass surgery about 20 years ago, when I was still not even 60 yet. And my sons, who were young at that time, they were worried sick. Oh my God, my dad may not survive this. And they all came in and held my hands. It's so funny. So I said, just sit down quietly. And I drove the car myself to go to the hospital to get my surgery done. And I was joking and so on and so forth. So finally my older son, Sanjay, says, Dad, I don't understand. How are you so relaxed before this? I don't understand this. So I said, Sanjay, here's one of two possibilities. One is that I survive, in which case I have no problems. The other case is if I die, I have no problems. It's very clear. You may have a problem, but I don't. So this is our situation, really speaking. So this is what is called sarva chinta samuttita, means that is really free of anxiety. But it is exactly like, talking of my son, I had another, this is chinta samuttita. So when he was like 2 years old, I took him to, my wife and I both took him to a pediatrician. And he was having some problems, same kind of asthma-like problems that now he's okay with it, but at that time we were thinking that he has inherited my asthma-like thing. And I still remember this. This pediatrician was a doctor in Saratoga. And when we were in the doctor's office, Sanjay was fidgety, 2-year-old. He would go do this, and I'd say, Sanjay, please be quiet, listen to him. And then he'd be doing something else. Sanjay, just be quiet. Finally, the doctor talked to me. He said, Mr. Kapoor, may I just tell you something? He's a child. Let him be. Why are you so worried in disciplining him? That was really a lesson for me, honestly. That I was be worried about his misbehavior in this office. He was lifting up things, talking, but this is very natural. And the doctor was not worried. He has seen these kids many times, but he looked at me and he says, this guy is funny. He's so worried. So this is exactly what happens. So when we have anxiety, this coronavirus anxiety, we go along with it. Really speaking, I don't watch any television. So I'm free of TV. Internet I do, but I don't. As soon as it says corona, I go to the next story. Whatever happens, happens. I'm still careful. It's not as though I'm being foolish or anything like this. Let it happen. So what? What's the big thing? So he says, so these are really, again, I would repeat this, that being all these advanced texts means that they are markers. So I feel that I'm making progress in my life, honestly. I'm not really, my mind is at peace with myself. I still participate and do things and so on and so forth, but I don't have to. There's nothing that I want to do. Whatever happens, happens. I wasn't like this. So it's a progress. And it is in the right direction. So anyway, so this is describing the sadhya. This is where you have to go. He says, sarva abhilapa vigataha. You don't have to be talking and listening and doing things and so on. Just be. Sarva chinta samuttitaha. Don't follow the mind. The mind is worried, no doubt about it. There is a worry about corona, no doubt about it. But don't keep on following it, just like a child in the pediatrician's office and saying, be quiet, sit down, this, that or the other. Let it happen. Then suprashantaha sakrit jyoti. Instead, see the fact that you are fundamentally calm. Discover that. And later on in the sadhana, we will talk about how do you, and then you say, no, I'm not worried about this, but I'm not shanta. I'm not yet very, well, that means that there are some techniques where you can discover your own shantaha. That will come in the sadhana part. And then of course markers for this is achalaha. Achalaha means one that does not move. One which is there always. Abhayaha. So abhayaha here, I think I described this. So achalaha and abhayaha means discover that you are the very anvil in which all the changes are happening. See that. And the anvil, this is exactly the truth. I mean, we can visualize a physical anvil which is used for shaping metal, shaping things and so on. Nothing happens to the anvil. It's one solid piece of metal. But we have difficulty in seeing for ourselves as being the anvil. But see yourself as the anvil. You are the anvil. And that anvil is nothing but Brahman. Doesn't make there's no changes to it. It doesn't move. And abhayaha. So abhayaha, I think we did this earlier. This is a clear idea that it is advayaha. Ekaha means, abhayaha means, so bhayaha means fear only comes from something other than you. Something other than you. And here one very beautiful example given, I don't know who gave this example, is that sometimes we get fearful of our own shadow. Because the shadow appears in such a way that because there is some, supposing you are, especially in a very lonely place, where you are prone to being fearful. You're not sitting inside your own home, you're out there somewhere and somewhat dark and so on. And suppose there are some light sources, like cars moving or something. It can project a shadow of your own that looks like something is moving. So you are fearful of your own shadow. Well, once you realize, oh, this is my shadow, there's no fear. Exactly the same thing happens is that in the sadhya, the Atma, you realize that I am at a higher level of beingness, and everything else is nothing but a projection which is a lower level. It's like a shadow. A shadow is a lower level of reality than the person whose shadow it is. Then abhayaha. Whatever happens, happens. Nothing has to be afraid of. So that's the concept. So in number 38, grahana tatra utsargaha chinta yatra na vidyate. So this is an explanation of the Mandukya Upanishad word which says avyavaharyam. Avyavaharyam. So the nature of the Atma is that it is not subject to transactions. Not subject to there is nothing to be given, nothing to be taken. Because as a person who is reflecting the Atma as a jiva, the jiva is a reflection. A reflection has relationships. It has something to give, something to take. There is some vyavahara. The Atma doesn't have any vyavahara. In the Nataka Deepa Prakaranam, in the Panchadashi, this fact is created very well, beautifully. He says that like there is a light in the room, and in the room there is vyavahara. Like I am the teacher and you are listening to me and you come in, I don't start the class until you come. And then I look at the clock, then I finish the thing. All those kinds are called vyavahara. But the light is simply showing the vyavahara. If the students leave and only the teacher is left, it shows the teacher. If the students are there, the teacher has not come, it shows the class without the teacher. If both of them are busy, it shows both of them are busy. If everything is empty, shows the emptiness. This is exactly what the Atma is. Precisely. No difference whatsoever. The issue then is that because we are so used to having action, we're used to having vyavahara, that we think that the only thing which really matters, who thinks about the light? Who thinks about the light? And in this particular case, that's not important for us to, the fact is the light should be working. If it is not working, then we are a little worried. You can't transact the class if the electricity is not there. So at least there is some reason to be observant about the light. Otherwise, the light is just there. The difference in the Atma is totally different. That the Atma as the very Jnanam, the very Ananda, the very substance, the very anvil of the whole thing, even though it is like a light showing everything, but I'm not aware of it. I don't understand the importance of it. And so the point I was making was that I'm so used to transacting that I feel anything which is not part of the transaction is not important. That's part of the confusion. And finally, you find that the transactions are like a play. Sure. Play if you want to, but you don't need to. You have an identity outside the play. And the identity is Chinta yatra na vidyate. Means where the anxiety is not there, then there is no graha. There is nothing to grab. Na tatra utsargaha. Nothing to leave. Here Swami Maheshanji points out, he says, in fact this is going to be discussed in more detail in the next few verses. He says the issue we have is very interesting because people glom on to some identity and they're not willing to give it up. Like, for example, the jati, that I'm a Brahmana, I'm a Brahmin. He gives this example very often. He says that for a person to feel that I'm a Brahmin, well, how are you a Brahmin? So your parents, when you were growing up, will say, do you know? Did you know you are a Brahmin? So the kid will say, what do you mean by Brahmin? No, it's very important. Very important. This is Ishvara has given you birth in our family. I'm a Brahmin, therefore you are a Brahmin. And you have all these responsibilities. You can do pujas, you can do this, and so you have to do karmas, and you have to study, and you are a higher level of a person. This is the identity. And it takes a little while, but the person begins to now be solidifying the identity. I am a Brahmin. And you tell this guy, you're really not a Brahmin, you are a Atma. He says, I'm not sure of the Atma, but I just want to, it's like a hand, what is a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. He says, I know I'm a Brahmin, I have some advantages and so on and so forth, but Atma I am not so sure of. So I'd rather just hang on to what I have. So Swami Maheshananji says that I tell you, this is why the real Brahmana, the Brahmin which is born out of a jati is a fake Brahmana. The real Brahmana is the one who understands I am Brahman. This is the real Brahmana. But the fake Brahmana keeps the person to discover the real Brahmana. This is the identity. So anyway, he's going to be discussing this in more detail and so on. I think that the sense of the verse 38 here is Atmasamtam tada jnanam ajati samatam gatam. Means, and the overall sense of that is nothing grabs you, nothing needs to be avoided. Whatever happens is okay with me. This is the marker. Whatever happens, I think that the whole thinking, you will see this really from my own experience, you will see that what used to bother you, it should be this way, it should be that way. Even in my married life, I've seen changes in myself. There are things that I expected my wife to be doing it this way and that way and so on. I'm okay with it. She has her own personality, and let her do the things that she wants to do. Why does it bother me? Why do I have to be so particular about things, that it has to be done this way and so on? I mean, there are simple things that the spouses, they if you share a toothpaste, okay, some of them close the lid properly, some of them don't. Some of them squeeze the thing from the bottom, some of them do it from the top. And I remember the times when I would talk to my wife and say, why are you doing it this way? And lately I really enjoy the fact that I'm okay with it. Really, this is exactly what the markers of it are. It means I'm making progress. Swami Dayanand used to, he said that even right up to the very end, I remember he was talking about this. Why do you expect people to be different? Let them be. Whatever they are, they are. He says that people have problems with their parents. In fact, they have more problems with their parents than anybody else. You know why? Because they cannot change them. That's a permanent relationship. So Swamiji says that a lot of people come to me with problems, not about other people, but my mother is like this. Why is she always like this? She's doing this and so on and so forth. And I don't like that. Swamiji says, let her be. Why does it bother you? But this is the problem. I want to have about 6-7 verses and I get stuck at these stories. Anyway, I think I won't tell you this. This is a long story about what Swamiji had talked about. But his essence is, let it be. Because, and let it be means not the idea that what cannot be cured must be endured. That's not it. That's not it. It's just that if you relax a little bit, you will enjoy yourself more. That's it. Your Atma will open up to you. You are blocking it, unnecessarily blocking it. So this is the sense of these verses, really. It just has some technical language in it. Chinta yatra na vidyate tatra grahaha na utsarga naha. There is nothing to grab, nothing to leave. You are too particular about it. Atma samstham tada jnanam ajati samatam gatam. Then you have a way of discovering the fact that you are an amazing thing. You're an amazing entity. How else are you going to discover it? Anyway, so that's what it is. Okay, so now I think in the next for a couple of minutes, I want to just introduce the next few verses. So up to now, as I mentioned before, for several last verses, it was to talk about the Atma itself. And now to the end of this chapter, which is, I think next 2 classes or so will be done with this, the emphasis is on sadhana. On sadhana. And what is to be done, how can you achieve this state of equanimity? And so with that, verse number 39 is talked about. Asparsha yogo vai namaha durdarshaha sarva yogibhi yoginaha vibhyati yihi asmat abhaye bhayadarshinaha. So asparsha yoga is in fact an interesting word. Swamiji spends a lot of time in discussing this. He says there are 2 ways you can look at it. So asparsha yoga means it can be a description of the Atma. Means that it is not connected to anything, it is asanga. So asparsha can be asangatvam. So this is one meaning when it is done in the Shastra. Another meaning is, and this is the second meaning is the one which is used in this verse, is people who are afraid to really approach the Atma that way. And you know that example of the Brahmin that I talked about is very much a kind of kept in mind in this one. So here the word yogi, so the Brahmin is just one example of that. The word yogi here, sometimes it is used for the word as a jnani. In Bhagavad Gita, the word, here it is not. So here it is really a yogi means one who is very set in a given way is called a yogi. I don't want to be a jnani, I just want to do things in a certain way. And why do you want to do it this way? For lots of reasons. I know what is given, I am certain of what I am doing, whatever it is, and I don't know anything about Atma. I don't know how to, what you're describing is very mumbo jumbo to me, and I don't know whether I will ever get there. So I don't want to touch it. I'm not even going to approach it. This is what is called asparsha yoga vai nama durdarshaha sarva yogi bihi. If you have that approach, then may the Lord be with you. You please do whatever you want to. This is not for you. And he says, because the very existence of something which is unconnected, like a light, which is not involved in any action and so on, creates fear in them. Creates fear. I don't understand what that is. And so don't even, and Swamiji used to say that, he says, this is why, really speaking, Advaita Jnanam should not be taught in temples, because the mindset is completely different. You just want to do something which is visible, which is accounted for, and it's good. But to simply say that there is something more than this and you have to give up all this and so on, people get afraid of that. This is exactly that verse it is. Asparsha yogo vai nama durdarshaha, not easy to see, sarva yogi bihi, yogi naha bibhyati hi asmat abhaye bhayadarshina. So he says that as an example, people who are committed to karma and ones who are afraid of giving up this identity, it's very difficult for them to do this. So number 40. And so I think we'll do 40 very quickly and then stop. So in number 40, manasaha nigraha ayatam abhayam sarva yoginam dukkha kshayah prabodhascha api akshaya shanti evacha. So I'll just read the sentence. Fearlessness, cessation of grief, self-knowledge, everlasting peace, etc. All these are dependent on the discipline of the mind for these yogis. So I'll just plant the seed for it and develop it more next week. And we've already done that in the past also. So for such people, yogis, who have a certain disciplined life, they are following a set of do's and don'ts, they feel that disciplining their mind and keeping it under wraps is the way to gain happiness. And it seems to work for them. They don't want to get involved with all kinds of other things. They just want to concentrate on disciplining the mind. Don't get involved. Don't do this, so on and so forth. Just stay the course. And this causes problems in their lives. Because it is not possible. The mind is not meant for continuous. This is kind of like you are trying to, Gita also Krishna says to Arjuna, that the mind is like the wind. How are you going to enclose the wind in some way? No, it's just going to go. So the attempts to discipline the mind and to reach a sense of freedom through disciplining the mind is the wrong approach. Not possible. And why? Because there's always tension. You're always fighting the mind that I'm disciplining it and it's not observing me, and so on and so forth, is not the way to do that. This is the not to do in terms of sadhana, according to Advaita Vedanta. And so this we will develop it a little bit more, and hopefully we'll go faster next week. Om Swasti Prajabhyav Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahisha Go Brahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanyaha Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Yam Shobharahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhaved Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritangamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
Very quick question. Are you putting the notes online? These Mandukya notes also? Or
I'm sorry?
are you putting the Mandukya notes online? Your
No, I have not been doing that.
Can you do that?
I can easily do it, but we have not really done so.
We just started recently, but we can do that.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
Question. In verse 37, the sarvachita samuttitaha, how is that samasa put together?
Samuttitaha means, uttita means one which is, so sarva chinta means the entire gamut of anxieties. Samuttitaha means one which is samyak uttitaha. Uttitaha means one which is given up and completely given up. So sarva chinta samuttita. Yeah. Yeah.
When you, all this description and this, or you'll be away from anxiety and all that, but what do you see? I mean, things are happening and in front of you, and then what do you do? Just detach yourself, or without...
So, I mean, this is what we've been studying is that, a couple of things. One is that it should at least be clear to a student that a complete cessation of anxiety is not only possible, that is my swarupa. This should be understood. Then the second part is, why is it that I am not seeing it at this point? And so there is what we've been discussing, is that process requires some work on your mind, and this is what we've been discussing about markers and and all that. So it's a process. So you know where you're going. You're not there yet, but now you can see the progress of your. So it requires a very steady improvement in the way you behave, in the way you take things, and slowly some small diminishing of chinta. What you will find is what I used to be bothered about a few years ago, now I am not. And so that continues in your direction. So it's a slow process, but it's a definite process. All the time knowing that I'm really basically reaching a point which is real, achievable, and that is me, really speaking.
You mentioned that about the wind, Arjuna said it's so chanchal,
Yeah.
the mind. And in reply, Bhagavan says that you have to practice abhyasya
Yeah, abhyasena yogya, abhyasena, absolutely.
So you have to develop vairagya from these.
So both vairagya in the sense that it is possible, and abhyasa means to actually follow the edicts of the Shastra. So both have to be done. Sorry to interrupt you, but I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes on. It's very possible that this may be our last class here, because Chandra and I I was discussing that with him, that on Monday, today is Saturday, on Monday, we're having an important meeting between the owner of the building, Kailash Joshi, the people who have rented the other part and also have been given some rights to this place at 5:30. And so the possibilities are that we may still be here in a kind of like perhaps there would be some, those partitions that you see stacked there, they might actually be put in here for some offices, and then we may move back a little bit and continue our classes. So that is one possibility. The second possibility is that we could actually move to this boardroom, which is on the same second floor, close to the main entrance, and it's a very big room. It has an oval table, and so the situation will be slightly different, but I think that's another possibility. And the third possibility is that we may all decide to, which is a less of a probability, just go to another place, and we may actually have to interrupt these classes until we find another place. We're looking at going to ICC. All of that is happening, but there are some issues, and so we'll keep you informed. There's a possibility that we may have to cancel classes for a couple of weeks until we get a new place. So just want to let you know about that. Also, broader term, I'm thinking that, of course, the Mandukya Karika still has we still have the lot of Shanti Prakaranam to do, and hopefully we will finish that. But there's quite a few changes. The Tuesday night class is almost over. This Tuesday is the last one. So I'm thinking that one thing I might do is to do a general survey of all of you. I'll send you some questions from my perspective as to what you would like to, what texts you would like, what are your preferences in terms of Tuesday versus Saturday. Just a general questionnaire, kind of like a survey of your needs. And then based on that, we will go forward. At this point, the only thing which is going well with good participation, enthusiasm, is the Gita class. And so I think that I already sent out a email last night. So that one, I think I'm pretty much certain that we're going to do Drikdrishya Viveka for a while and then go to the 8th chapter. But in terms of the successor to the Mandukya Karika and the Dakshinamurti Stotram, I am still open for it. I have a number of texts in mind, but I want to hear from you as to what you would like to see done. So all of that will be done in the next few weeks. You will see some survey, and please let me know what your thoughts are, because things are changing. People are many people are not coming to this class. New people are coming, so I have to really look at all the aspects of it to design the next phase of the teaching. So Rajkot was good. Sorry, but just give us a quick idea about good. Your trip and.
Yeah, it was for 10 days.
Uh-huh.
It was quite interesting. many ways.
Uh-huh.
Because morning we had always puja and abhishek
Okay.
from 6:30 to 8.
Okay.
And that was very fascinating. We were not expecting that. I was not knowing that they
Okay.
are doing every day. So it was very, very highly, you can involve yourself in by mind. So we were
Wonderful.
not knowing the verses they were singing, but some people were really so good. They were knowing whole book
Yeah.
by heart. So they were singing nicely. So that atmosphere was very, very good.
Good.
Another was the Gaushala, the very nice Gir guys, cows,
Uh-huh.
and they are looking after so well, clean. And it was also very good, the babies, calves, and the big calves. And also ashram is so good, and well placed and very good, something like a very good garden around,
Uh-huh.
good buildings. And even the temple is Ashvidya Mandir. It's very good. And Swamiji was himself doing everyday puja. And also Shivratri then. At the
Yeah,
end.
Shivratri must have
That
been
was
so
very good.
24 hours. And it was so good.
wonderful.
Yeah.
They started puja from morning, and then after the Shivratri program, they had dance. They had then the puja started at 10 at night, right up to 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning,
And
okay.
Swamiji was there throughout all the
Wow.
sessions of the pujas.
During
And then
day
they
and
started
night.
that is the next day puja, which is the normal puja,
Yeah.
at 7. But puja, Guruji was excellent, excellent. You really get involved. I mean, it's so nice, the Abhishekam and the way he decorates.
Beautiful.
Oh,
The
it's
flower
worth seeing.
arrangement.
It's worth. It is worth visiting. It's worth spending time there. Even the camp was very nice. His lectures were very good. Zarina, and we felt so good that we were some Californians out there.
Ah, nice.
Zarina,
It
Pascal,
was surprise. We did
and,
not know each
we were
other
not
that
knowing
we are
that
there.
they are there.
Ah.
We met there.
Chawla.
How are you feeling?
Better, now much better. I felt sick.
Oh,
I would have paralyzed one side.
Ooh.
It was very threatening.
I
On
see.
13th of February,
Just 2
discourse
days
is
after that,
started
yeah.
at 11.
Where were you?
There
At
in
the
the
ashram.
Oh, in the ashram itself.
The
So you had a stroke?
Early,
Yeah.
almost. It was impending stroke, but it is still there
Oh.
partly. But
I see.
I did not have motor side. I had sensory and postural side.
I see.
So I had all the functions okay, but the whole half side of the body was very heavy.
So
now.
then how did it get better? What,
By treatment, but the reason is very strange.
ah,
I have birth defect in my brain
Uh-huh.
where one blood artery was not developed. So
okay.
I am 78, it worked without that for 78 years.
Oh my
So
goodness. Wow.
and it is compensating now because there is always collaterals.
Collateral,
Yeah, and
I
so
see.
collaterals were working well, but probably because of aging. But fortunately, there is no atherosclerosis, means the arteries
Okay.
are not thick,
Okay.
all the other arteries. So I did not get that bad effect. And because I am vegetarian, non-smoker, non-drinker, and regular
Wow.
life probably, all has helped. That's what
Wonderful.
is added part probably, that's
Yeah.
I guess.
Good.
Being a doctor myself, and I also have worked in neurosurgery for 1.5 years during my course of.
So you were aware of what?
Yeah, so I was knowing that what was happening me.
Yeah.
So I checked myself. Only thing was I was bit dragging and imbalance. When I was
I
holding
see.
soap, it was falling down. So
Amazing.
I knew that, and numbness developing. Still, I feel this right side is still heavy. Right side of.
Was getting better?
Yeah, much better.
Oh,
The
wonderful.
whole side was involved, even up to the skull.
Oh, I
face,
see.
Everything.
Isn't it amazing how the body is constructed?
Yeah.
Halves and
So that is what miracle or whatever we say, but we have to be more spiritual for that. At least myself, I have experience as a doctor, as a patient, and I know now that 78 years past, I would have been paralyzed by birth, who knows.
Wow.
So it did not happen. It was not a very major artery, but it is still very good supply to the cerebellum, which we call a small brain, which is postural and